If you're in a relationship and you've noticed her messages feel different lately, colder, shorter, strangely distant, don't ignore this video. Here's the truth. If you're waiting for proof she's cheating, you're already behind. Affairs don't start in bedrooms. They start in inboxes. And by the time her words go cold, her body probably already has. I'm going to walk you through 6 subtle message shifts that most men overlook until it's too late. These aren't just red flags, they're behavioral fingerprints. And the man who can read them doesn't get blindsided. He gets clarity. So before you waste more nights wondering if it's all in your head, let's decode what she's really saying when she hits send. As a psychologist and relationship coach, I've seen this same pattern play out over and over. In messages men wish they hadn't ignored. If this is hitting close to home, hit like and subscribe. Comment yes if you've ever read a message that made you question her. And now let's start with the very first message shift you need to pay attention to. Number 1, the timestamp gaps and why her silence suddenly feels calculated. Let me ask you something. When did her silence stop feeling like she's just busy and start feeling like she's busy with someone else? You see, most men don't notice the silence at first. They focus on the replies, the sorry, phone died, the back-to-back meetings, the totally slammed today kind of excuses. All seemingly normal, all very reasonable. But here's the truth. When a woman is emotionally and physically invested elsewhere, she doesn't just disappear randomly. She disappears on schedule. This isn't ghosting, it's programming. She used to text you throughout the day, right? Little check-ins, memes, a quick thinking of you on her lunch break. It wasn't much, but it meant everything. Now, suddenly, there are 2-hour blackouts, 4-hour voids. Sometimes you don't hear from her all afternoon. And when she finally does respond, it comes with an apology that's almost too thoughtful, like she rehearsed it, like she's not just explaining to you, she's trying to convince herself. Here's the psychological layer no one talks about. When she's physically involved with another man, your text becomes a threat. One innocent message from you while she's with him, it can kill the mood, trigger guilt, or worse, expose the double life she's desperately trying to hide. That's why she creates digital dead zones. She silences the phone, leaves it in another room, maybe even turns it off completely. Because in that moment, the man she used to love has become the risk she needs to manage. Let me give you an example. Mark is 52 years old, civil engineer, married 18 years. And for 6 of those months, every Tuesday and Thursday between 1 and 4 p.m., his wife would vanish. No replies, no read receipts, nothing. Then like clockwork, 4:15 rolls around and the apology comes in hot. Gym class ran long. Lost track of time at lunch. Client emergency. But Mark's gut wasn't buying it. Not because of one missed reply, but because it was always the same hours, the same rhythm, the same script. And guess what? That gym class turned out to be the time slot she reserved for her affair partner. And the messages? Just cover stories to keep Mark emotionally asleep. Listen, don't focus on the excuses. Look for the pattern. One delayed reply doesn't mean anything. But if her phone always dies on Thursdays, if her texts dry up every time she goes to yoga, you're not looking at coincidence. You're looking at choreography. So what should you do? Don't confront. Don't accuse. That's not power. That's panic. Instead, take notes. Log the gaps. Watch the timing. Emotional betrayal always leaves a digital footprint. And her timestamp gaps? That's the trail she's too careless or too comfortable to cover anymore. Number 2, the emotional temperature drop. When her texts feel more like memos. There's a moment in every man's relationship when he opens a message from the woman he loves, and it feels like it was sent by his assistant. No warmth, no inside jokes, no "I miss you," just logistics. "See you tonight. Running late. Okay." And that's when it hits you. She's not cold because she's tired. She's cold because she's somewhere else, emotionally, mentally, and maybe even physically. When a woman starts pouring her emotional energy into another man, you feel it first in the way she texts, not in the words, in the absence of them. Because emotions, gentlemen, are finite. They're not an unlimited resource. And if she's investing her attention, desire, and emotional curiosity into someone else, she has nothing left for you but transactional scraps. Let's be real. You remember how she used to message. Little things like, thinking about you while stuck in this boring meeting, or can't wait to jump you when you get home tonight. Those weren't just cute. They were invitations. Invitations into her inner world, her humor, her heart, her hunger. Now, you text her a joke. She replies, "Lol." You ask how her day is going. It's fine. It's not the silence that hurts most. It's the sterile tone. Let me tell you about Tom. 60 years old, owns a small auto repair shop, married 35 years. He came to me because he swore his wife wasn't cheating. Just stressed, until he started reading her messages back to himself out loud. "I'll be home at 7, picked up the dry cleaning. Can you pay the internet bill?" He laughed, until he cried, because it finally hit him. She wasn't talking to him like a husband anymore. She was messaging like they were running a business together, not a life. Here's the psychology most men miss. When she's being emotionally unfaithful, even simple affection feels like a lie to her. Telling you she misses you while she's emotionally attached to someone else? That kind of duality creates unbearable guilt. So she avoids it altogether. It's easier for her to go flat, to pretend the feelings don't exist, than to lie to your face by pretending they still do. So what should you do? Stop trying to force warmth where there's frost. Don't respond to cold texts with flowers. Don't beg for emojis. Instead, observe. Let the tone tell the truth. Because when a woman stops texting like she's in love, it's not just her tone that's changed. It's her reality. Number 3, the deflection defense. When innocent questions get treated like accusations. It starts with a simple text. "How was your day?" And instead of a normal answer, you get hit with, "Why? Is there something specific you want to know?" Or maybe this one rings a bell. "You're running late?" "Yeah, I told you I had dinner with Sarah. Why are you acting like I'm doing something wrong?" Suddenly, you're not in a relationship. You're on trial. And your crime? Asking questions you used to ask every day. This right here is one of the most dangerous shifts in communication. And it doesn't come from stress. It doesn't come from just being overwhelmed. It comes from guilt. Real guilt. The kind that makes people paranoid, hostile, and reactive. Because they're hiding something they don't want you to find. When a woman's living a double life, emotionally or physically, every interaction with you becomes a landmine. She has to calculate which version of herself she's supposed to be, the loyal partner or the one with secrets. That constant switch burns her out. So she starts snapping at you, not because of what you said, but because of what it represents. Here's how the psychology works. She knows she's deceiving you. So she assumes you know it too, or are close to finding out. So every harmless question feels like an interrogation. Every normal check-in feels like a setup. That's why your care gets rebranded as control. Your curiosity becomes invasive. Your concern becomes paranoid. And over time, you stop asking. You stop checking in. You stop talking. And that's exactly what she wants. Let me introduce you to Ray, 48 years old, insurance adjuster, smart guy, but also loyal to the core. He once asked his wife how dinner with her friend went. She blew up, said he was always checking up on her, that she felt suffocated. Except here's the thing. He only asked because she came home 3 hours late and didn't text back once. It wasn't an interrogation. It was a husband wondering if she was okay. But she twisted it, because she had something to protect. You see, these reactions aren't random. They're rehearsed. Defensive deflection is a tactic. It's how someone builds a buffer zone, not just around their lies, but around their guilt. Here's the chilling part. When your partner turns your basic care into something shameful, she's training you to shut up, to back off, to stop asking questions, so she can keep doing what she's doing, uninterrupted. So what do? First, recognize the playbook. Stop walking on eggshells like you're the one who did something wrong. If she turns every gentle question into a fight, that's not your insecurity talking. That's her conscience screaming. Second, trust the shift. When asking, "How was your day?" becomes dangerous, you're not in a relationship. You're in her cover story. Number 4, the schedule smokescreen. When too much detail means you're meant to stop asking. You ever get a message from her that sounds too specific? Meeting Sarah at 7 at that new Italian place on 5th, probably hitting that little bookstore after. Should be back around 10:30, but you know how we get when we start talking. It's not just an update, it's a full itinerary, like she's filing a report, not telling her partner about her night. And here's the twist most men don't see. When a woman's being truly open, her words are relaxed, natural, maybe even a little messy. But when she's covering something up, that's when the details suddenly get surgical. Why? Because oversharing is one of the most effective misdirection tactics. It's a psychological sleight of hand. She gives you too much information about the innocent parts of her night, so you don't notice the parts she's conveniently skipping. It's not lying. It's editing. You feel like you know everything, but you actually know nothing that matters. Let me tell you about Frank, 55 years old, long-haul trucker, blue-collar, old school, never suspected his wife of anything shady, until she started texting him oddly detailed plans every Friday night. Dinner with Jen at 6:45, trying that new Thai place. Might swing by Trader Joe's after to grab those granola bars you like. Back home before 10. At first, he appreciated it. Thought it was sweet. But one night, he came home early from a canceled haul, and she wasn't there. And when she did come back, it was nearly 1 a.m. Granola bars don't take 4 hours, man. Turns out the dinner part was real. So was the receipt she sent him. But after that, she met up with her affair partner. The detail about dinner was her alibi, not her evening. Here's how the psychology works. By stacking up verifiable truth, she builds trust. Then she uses that trust to mask the time blocks that aren't so verifiable. Photos of the food, selfies with friends, even restaurant check-ins on social. It's all curated for one reason: to keep you from asking about what happens after. Here's your red flag: the sudden shift from vague to overly specific. She used to just say, "going out with the girls." Now you get GPS coordinates, timestamps, and emotional disclaimers like, "you know how we lose track of time." That's not intimacy. That's insurance. So what do? Stop being hypnotized by the detail. Start asking, what part of this is she trying not to explain? Because transparency doesn't come with a user manual. And when someone starts offering a play-by-play for their most boring activities, it's not because they respect your need to know. It's because they're hoping you won't look where it actually matters. Number 5, the intimacy and future avoidance. When we quietly disappears from the conversation. There's a kind of breakup that doesn't come with a fight. No screaming, no slammed doors, no dramatic exits. It comes through silence, through the quiet, calculated disappearance of one word: we. Suddenly, she's not talking about our trip next month. She's just thinking about going away for a bit. She's not texting you, "we should try that new place." She's saying, "I might check out that new wine bar downtown." See the shift? This isn't just about language. It's about mindset. When a woman starts avoiding the future with you in it, it's not a glitch. It's a signal. A psychological pullback from a relationship she's no longer investing in, because someone else is already occupying that space. Let's break this down. Future planning isn't just logistics. It's emotional intimacy. When she envisions her weekend, her summer, or even her evening, and doesn't include you? That's not forgetfulness. That's forecast. You've gone from partner to placeholder. Let me introduce you to Kevin, 50 years old, high school history teacher. Every July, he and his wife took a trip to the coast. A little tradition they started in year 2 of marriage. Except this year, she hadn't mentioned it once. When he brought it up, she said, "Oh, I didn't realize we were still doing that." Then she said she was thinking of doing something solo this time. He didn't argue. He just felt something crack, not in his heart, in his reality, because this wasn't about the trip. It was about the truth. He was no longer part of the picture, but still standing in the frame. Here's what most men miss. When a woman is emotionally involved with someone else, talking about the future with you feels like a lie. It creates cognitive dissonance. Every "we should" feels like pretending. So she stops. She doesn't want to be the bad guy, the one who ends things. So instead, she just edits you out of her imagined life, one text at a time. And it doesn't stop at future plans. It shows up in the present too. She used to send flirty messages in the middle of the day. Now, even simple gestures like, "Let's grab dinner tonight," are met with "too tired," or "busy," or no response at all. The emotional withdrawal becomes logistical distancing. She still texts, but only about the bills, the schedule, the chores, and that's how you know you've been downgraded. From romantic partner to roommate with shared responsibilities. So what's the move here? Stop asking, "When are we doing something next?" Instead ask, "Is anyone still planning anything with me?" Because if the answer is silence, you're not in a slow patch. You're in the prequel to goodbye. Number 6, the guilt compensation. When sweet messages show up at all the wrong times. There's a kind of "I love you" that doesn't warm your heart. It makes your stomach drop. It shows up after 3 days of cold silence, or right after she comes home late with no explanation, or on the morning after a strange vibe you couldn't quite name, and suddenly, just wanted to say you're amazing. I'm so lucky to have you. You deserve something special this weekend. On the surface, it sounds loving, but deep down, you feel the disconnect. Because these words don't match your reality, they feel dropped in, like a bandage over a wound you didn't cause. This is what I call the guilt compensation message system, and it's one of the most deceptive communication patterns out there. Let's get something straight. When someone's genuinely in love, their affection is consistent. It's tied to shared moments, mutual joy, connection. But when someone's hiding betrayal, that affection becomes erratic, not a reflection of how they feel about you, but how they feel about themselves. It's not "I love you because I feel connected to you." It's "I need to say this to make myself feel like I'm still a good person." Enter Daniel. 58 years old. Divorce attorney. Ironic, I know. One night, his wife came home hours late, didn't say much, went straight to bed. Next morning, he woke up to this. "I'm just so grateful for you. Thank you for always being there for me." No mention of the night before, no apology, just that sweet, disconnected praise. And Daniel? He'd seen too much. He knew this wasn't affection. It was atonement. Here's what most men miss. These sudden bursts of sweetness aren't romantic. They're transactional. She's not telling you who you are. She's telling herself who she wants to believe she still is. Because deep down, she knows what she's doing. She knows it's unfair. She knows she's checked out, emotionally, maybe even physically. And these messages, they're her emotional receipts. Proof that she's still trying, that she's not a bad person, even if her actions scream otherwise. And if you're not careful, you'll cling to those crumbs. You'll mistake emotional guilt for emotional investment. And that is how you stay stuck. So how do you tell the difference? Ask yourself one question. Does this message feel like it's connected to anything real? A great moment? A shared laugh? An actual experience between you two? Or does it feel like it came out of nowhere? like she's ticking boxes on a good partner checklist? Because real affection builds. It's earned. It has rhythm and timing. But guilt compensation? It's random. It's rushed. And it's rooted in fear, not love. Don't get seduced by sweet words when they're delivered with cold behavior. Don't let a soft sentence erase a month of silence. And most of all, don't confuse her conscience with her commitment. The wake-up call. Stop investigating. Start mirroring. At this point, if you've seen 2 or more of these signs, consistently, not just once, then let's be honest. You're not in a relationship. You're in a cover story. And the longer you keep trying to figure her out, the further you drift from figuring yourself out. So here's the hard truth. This isn't about playing detective. It's not about gathering more timestamps, analyzing emojis, or replaying every conversation in your head. You don't need more evidence. You need more self-respect. Because chasing proof is just another form of denial. You're hoping, if you catch her red-handed, that it'll mean something, that she'll feel bad, that she'll admit it, that maybe, just maybe, you can fix this. But here's the kicker. If she's already that far gone, the problem isn't that you don't know the truth. It's that you don't want to accept it. So let's shift the game. From chasing her truth to claiming yours. If her energy is cold, match it. If she's transactional, stop sending poems. If she's absent, stop making excuses for her presence. This is not about revenge. It's about alignment. When someone stops showing up emotionally, mentally, or physically, stop overcompensating for their absence. Because here's what no one tells you. The moment you stop trying to pull her back in is the moment you start pulling yourself out. Let me be very clear. This is not where you confront her with screenshots. This is where you confront yourself with boundaries. Not to punish her, but to protect you. Because you can't text your way back into someone's heart. You can't guilt her into staying loyal. And you definitely can't save a relationship by being the only one trying. So instead of asking, what is she hiding? Ask this. What part of me is still hoping she'll turn back, even when every sign says she's already left? Your power isn't in what you catch. It's in what you choose to carry forward. Walk with that. You don't need to catch her in the act. You've already caught the truth. In her tone, in her timing, in the way her messages feel more like receipts than connection. She's been speaking loud and clear, just not with her words. Every delayed reply, every emotionally cold response, every overly detailed schedule. That's not noise. That's her emotional signature. Not meant for him, but left behind for you. And the question isn't, is she cheating? It's this. What are you still hoping to find that's going to change the truth you already know? Let that sink in, because there's nothing more devastating than realizing you're the only one still holding on. You're showing up with loyalty to someone who clocked out emotionally months ago, maybe longer. And the proof isn't hidden in her phone, it's written in her disconnection. So, what now? Now, you stop begging for clarity from someone who benefits from your confusion. You stop mistaking her silence for subtlety, her excuses for effort, her sweet nothings for real presence. And you start choosing you, not in anger, not in revenge, but in quiet, grounded dignity. The truth is, a woman who's still invested doesn't text like a woman who's already gone. So stop rereading her messages and start rewriting your standards. If any part of this hit too close, good. That means you're waking up. Now it's time to act like it. Don't drop a comment saying, she's changed. Drop one saying, I changed after today. Because that's how it begins. Not by trying to get her back, but by finally getting yourself back. And if you want more truth that cuts through the noise and hands your power back to you, hit that subscribe button. Drop your thoughts below. I read them. I see you. And I'll be right here, telling you the things no one else will. You ready to rise? Good. Let's go.